So for problem number 5, the way we sort of think about this is just to find the area of the rectangle and then the area of the circle and then subtract it, right? So does anyone know what the area of the rectangle is? The 2 by 3 rectangle, so 2 by 3. Okay. So the 2 by 3 rectangle, if we multiply these two together, we will get 2 times 3 equals 6. So what this means is that the big rectangle, if we draw this big rectangle, it is an area of 6. Now, on the inner circle, what we find is that the diameter of the inner circle is 1. So remember that in a circle, the diameter is the length from one side to the other, 1. So what this means is that the radius, or the distance from the edge of the circle to the center, is 1 as well. So if we draw the radius of the circle like this, then it'll be 1. Sorry, it wouldn't be 1. It would be 0.5. So because we're dividing the diameter into 2. And if you remember the formula for the area of a circle, then we'll know that the area of the circle equals pi r squared, and r means radius. So if we plug the radius that we got, 0.5, into this, we'll get pi times 0.5 squared. 0.5 squared is half times 1/2. And half times 1/2 is a fourth, right? It's half of 0.5, half of a half. So what we'll get is pi over 4. So the area of the circle is actually pi over 4. And well, what is pi over 4, right? Pi over 4 is actually, well, is about 3 over 4. Is a slightly more than 3 over 4. So, but of course we're looking at which whole number is closest. So we don't need to know the exact answer. So it is slightly bigger than 3 over 4. And well, 3 over 4, if it's slightly bigger than 3 over 4, then it'll be 6 minus 3 over 4, which is 5¼ So the area of this is a bit less than 5¼ And what that means is that, well, which whole number is closest to a bit less than 5¼ Of course, it's going to be 5. So the answer to this question would in fact be 5, since we started by finding the area of the rectangle, like that. Then we moved on to finding the area of the circle using the circle area formula, pi r squared. And by dividing the given diameter by 0.5, by 2 to get the radius, and then plugging this in and sort of approximating the answer, approximating pi as 3. So then we subtracted to find the final answer of 5. So this is a little complicated, but with more practice on these kinds of questions, like, you'll get the hang of it. So the next question, most people, based on what I see, most people on this question said D. And that seems to me to be correct. This is a relatively simple question. So what we get is the top number, so we can just calculate this directly. So the top number, A, is going to be A, and then plus the bottom left number, which is B, plus B, and then the bottom right number is subtracted. So A plus B minus C, and it's kind of weird. It's a weird question, but what we get on the bottom is that we have 1, 3, and 4. So 1 is on top, so 1 will be, and then 3 is on the bottom left, so 1 plus 3, and then 4 on the bottom right. So that gets subtracted, yeah. And then 1 plus 3 minus 4 is 0. And on the other side, we get 2 plus 5 minus 6. 2 is on top, 5 is on the bottom left, 6 is on the bottom right. What we get is 2 plus 5 equals 7. 7 minus 6 equals 1. So that's a quick, easy way to think about this arithmetic. And since we're adding these two sort of thingamajiggies together, these triangles, we get 0 plus 1 equals 1. And 0 plus 1 equals 1, yes, that is a pretty simple. So it is indeed D. Who is iPad? iPad is me. Yeah, I'm controlling, I'm using my iPad to draw. Yeah, and thus the answer is in fact D. Okay, so problem number 7 looks quite complicated, right? You have the digit sum of 998, is, all these 3-digit numbers. How many 3-digit whole numbers? But if we think about this, let's think about it, right? So first of all, let's look at this right here. So it is 9 plus 9 plus 8. And if we want to have a even digits, like sort of, if we want to have an even 3-digit number, all we need to know is whether the units digit, or 998, or this digit, this 8, is even. If this 8 is even, of course it's even. This is pretty simple stuff. But what this means is that the units digit can only be 2, 4, 6, 8, right? Those numbers. And thus, what we get is that if we assume that the final number is 6, if we just look at what would we get if the final number is 6, is it possible? So if we get a number 6, and let's call the other two numbers a and b, well, a plus b plus 6, and a and b have to be greater than 9 and more than 1, or more than 0. Though of course b can be 0. But what this means is that if we try to make even if we try to make a and b the biggest possible number, which is 9, 9 plus 9 plus 6 is only 24. And anything smaller than 6 in the units place would not work. So that means that the units digit has to be 8. And well, we can't make anything bigger than 9 and 9 either way. So what this means is that there's only actually one possibility, and that is 998. You cannot get a bigger number. You cannot get another number with an even units digit that also allows the other ones to add up to 26. Because 9 and 9 add up to 18, and there's no other possibility for numbers that add up to 18 or add up to more than 18. And that makes sense, right? Because 9 and 9 are the biggest numbers a and b can possibly be, or the hundreds and tens place can be. As such, the answer would, in fact, be 1. A. Yes, Kimmy, you are correct. So, does this make sense to everyone? I'll give you a second to look at this, just to think about this for a second. Absorb it through osmosis. Yeah. Okay. So problem 8 is kind of interesting. A lot of people said that it was B. However, I've actually neglected to notice something here. So the store owner bought 1,500 pencils at a store owner bought 1,500 pencils at 10 cents each, right? So what this means is that 1,500 pencils at 10 cents each. So the store owner, he already bought these pencils. So that means that he spent $1,500 times 0.10. So, which means that he spent $150 already, right? So he spent $150 already to buy all these pencils. And he needs to make $100 in profit, in total profit. So right now he's already down by negative 150. It's already down by $150. He's already lost he's already spent $150. So he needs to get not only this back, but also the additional $100 that he needs to make. How much does he need to sell? So if we add 150, so basically this whole thing right here is going to be 250. So he needs to sell $250 worth of pencils in order to not only make back his $150 that he spent, but also make an additional profit of $100. Since profit is the amount that you make minus the amount that you spend. So, well, if he needs to sell $250 worth, well, we just simply divide that by 0.25, which is the number of the amount of money that he gets from selling one pencil. And if we divide that, what we'll get is 1,000 pencils. So he needs to sell 1,000 pencils out of his 1,500 pencils to both make the money, sort of recoup his losses, the amount of money that he spent to buy his pencils, and make $100 additional dollars. As such, the answer is in fact C, $1,000. So this makes sense to everyone. It's a little bit confusing to think about, starting off buying that. And I know a lot of you thought about, hey, well, he loses 10 cents each and makes 25 cents each. And well, you need 667 to make $100. However, this neglects to include the fact that he already bought it. So basically on these kinds of questions, you want to just be extra careful when you're looking at this question. Like, I know a lot of you could have solved this, but just want to be slightly careful with these kinds of questions. And yeah, and that's why we do practice, so that you can get a sense for how to solve questions. And this question is actually very useful, not just in math, but also in other stuff like running a business, being a store owner, that kind of thing. So give you a second to think about it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. This is a kind of a weird question. Yeah. Okay, so the population of a small town is 480. The graph indicates the number of females and males in the town, but the vertical scale values, or these things, usually you would have like, you have like some ticks there, right? But they're not there. They've been omitted. So the question is, how many males live in the town? Well, the way we approach this is simply just to assume that the number of males is half of the number of females. It kind of looks like it here, right? Kind of looks like the number of males is half the number of the females. And just looking at this, we can see that since the number of males is half the number of females, well, the total men will have M plus 2F plus 2M, or M plus F equals 480. Since the number of females is double the number of males, we could do M plus 2M equals 480, and that's 3M equals 480, which then equals M equals 160. So based on just this assumption, the answer would be 160. But the thing is that, like, we're not exactly sure. However, looking at all the other answers, well, it just doesn't make sense, right? Because if it was 200, then it would be actually around, let's see, 200, then it would be way more than half. Like, it would be like here, right? So, and 120 would also be way less. So just like having a look at this, 160 seems like the most reasonable answer here. But you're gonna have to guess a little bit. But yeah, 160 is definitely the answer based on looking at the answer choices here. And so the answer is in fact B. All right. Okay. This one's a relatively simpler question. Okay, so it doesn't seem like we have too much time left, but I think it would be cool to do problem 10 just with 3 minutes left. I don't really have enough time to give you guys opportunity to do it, but let's just I'll just show you how this works. So problem 10 is an isosceles right triangle with legs 8 and 8 is partitioned into 16 congruent triangles as shown. The shaded area is. Well, the way we do this is to first figure out the area of the big triangle, the isosceles right triangle. So remember that on a triangle, it is sort of base times height. However, on a right triangle, the height is literally the angle, sorry, not the angle, the side length here. So this is the height, and this is the base. Thus, that means that we get an area of, base times height minus 2, which is 8 times 8 over 2, which equals 32. And, well, let's count how many of each kind of triangle there is. So there is 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. 4 plus 3 is 7, 2 plus 1 is 3. So there's 10 of these small triangles. And then there are 6 of these, 10 of the shaded triangles and 6 of the non-shaded triangles. And rather than finding the area of each individual triangle multiplying, the easiest way to do this is actually just to look at the ratio. So the ratio is actually going to be 10 over 10 plus 6. So this is the fraction of the total triangle that is shaded. And what we get is 10 over 16. And 10 over 16 times 32, which is like sort of the area of the triangle, 10 out of 16 of the triangle is shaded. If we multiply that together, so 10 out of 16 times 32, we'll get, 20. So 32 over 16 equals 2. 2 times 10 equals 20. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can just think about how to multiply this fraction, but mental math is quite important in this test. So, yeah. So this is how we do this problem number 10. I mean, there's lots of ways you can do this problem, but using ratios of congruent triangles on this question is just the fastest way to do this. And on a lot of tests and doing math, a lot of times it's not just solving the problem, but it's solving the problem using the most efficient method here. So that's what, I think the math circle is all about, to like think about what is the best way to solve a question, not just how can you do it. All right. Okay, so it seems that time is up, but before we go, I just kind of wanted to ask all of y'all a question. So today, we did a sort of the format where it is like we do 4 questions or a couple questions, and then we explain each question individually, right? And we do each question individually like this. But last class we did it one question at a time, right? And I was wondering whether you guys think that the questions one at a time is better, or doing like a bunch and then following up with a couple is the best. So you guys think that we should do group, like lots of problems and then explanation, or one problem doing it one at a time? Okay. Okay, so it seems like people do prefer the group, so we'll be doing it. So okay, so we'll do it like this, just a bunch of problems, and then we'll do them, and then we'll explain after. All right, cool. Thanks. Okay, so goodbye everyone, and yeah, thanks for coming. It was a pleasure to talk to you guys, and